Hi, I'm Rob Namowitz, and I'm here to do an interview with Neil Wallace. I've endorsed him for the candidate for supervisor of Independence Township, and I'm going to elucidate the reasons why I'm supporting him by asking him questions about why he wants to be supervisor of Independence Township. So, Neil Wallace, tell us about yourself. Why are you running for Independence Township supervisor?
Hi Rob, how are you?
Just hunky-dory, thank you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Glad I could.
I'm running because I feel a responsibility to take on that leadership role for the township. It's a good time for me in terms of the experiences that I've had. I'm not sure I was even qualified when I began as a township trustee in my second term in 2008. We had to take such a deep dive into the budgets and operations of the township. I learned an awful lot about how it works, and I feel like I'm prepared to take that responsibility on.
The first time I ran into you at a township meeting was probably 25 years ago. You were sitting in the back of the room scribbling on a yellow pad. And I said, "Why are you here?" You weren't on the agenda, you had nothing to do with it. And you said, "Because somebody needs to keep an eye on them," or something to that. Is that what drew you to township government in the first place, or how did that happen?
The very first time I was drawn to township government, I read a story in the Oakland Press about something the board was going to decide. That was more than 30 years ago, closer to 35, and I went to the board meeting and stood up and had something to say. After the meeting, I was walking out in the parking lot, and a group of folks were standing around talking about the events of the evening, and one of them leaned out of the crowd and pulled me over and said, "Young man, you need to be with us." It did lead me to attending township board meetings to learn more about this whole self-government thing that we're all involved in, and I periodically would just go to the meetings. You know, as a part of the self-government thing, and frankly, it was a bit entertaining. And in those days, it wasn't on TV.
And now it is, so everybody gets to see you all the time. One thing that they do see quite often is the plaid tie, the tartan tie. What's the story with the tartan tie?
Well, of course, it's my family tartan. It's the Wallace tartan, and it's kind of a reminder for me more than for everybody else that there's certain principles that my family had, and that it's a reminder to me to stick true to those principles.
So do you feel as though it's sort of a tip of the hat to frugality?
Well, it's certainly all of that. The Scots are famous for their frugality, and I've tried to do that. And I think it's come out when we've done our budget work for the township, that's where I start with.
The budgetary process was really a mess, and you worked pretty hard to straighten that out. How did that come about? I mean, it was a ruin when you got there.
Yeah, actually, when I ran in 2008, one of the things I ran on was that we needed to straighten out that process. The supervisor historically would come to the board at the last minute before the budget was due and just kind of give us a broad overview of what he'd been working on. What I wanted us to do, and what we have done over the last several years, is taken a deep dive into the budgets, and month by month by month had one extra meeting just devoted to the budgets. And by doing that, we were able to understand the operations better and understand the budgets better. And it turned out something we really needed because of the recession that we went through, the problems with the income that the township had, and our need to really understand and be able to continue to deliver services with more limited resources.
Is there a component there creating the numbers so that people can see them on television, so that people can begin to understand the budget themselves, so they understand where the tax dollars are going?
Well, no question about the fact that when the board has taken a deeper dive into the budget numbers, it became more public, and I pushed to have the budgets put up on the township's website. There was some resistance from the administration to that, but ultimately we won out and got those published. The other thing we did is began to look 3 years out and begin to plan for capital improvements, because prior administrations had really significantly deferred township maintenance, and so you could park a lot of money in savings, but if your assets are deteriorating, you're not really saving.
So the 3-year budget